Yup, the guy who teaches high-ticket sales said it. High-ticket sales is dead in 2025. At least, the old way is. What I mean by that is it's no longer enough to work 4 hours a day on your laptop in Bali and make $20,000 a month without any experience. It's not enough to mass DM influencers on Instagram anymore. Applying to random jobs on Facebook, that's not going to cut it either. The space is more saturated than it ever has been. There's more closers than ever, more competition than ever, so you shouldn't even get into it. That is the attitude that most people would have. But here's the thing, just because the old way is dead does not mean you still can't make it a success. The approach just has to be different. If you don't know who this guy is, my name's Orlando, and I went from working at McDonald's making $19 an hour selling fries to closing over $6 million in sales by the age of 23. I've done appointment setting, closing, managed sales teams, and I've worked with guys like Zach Perner and probably a bunch of other guys that you see on your Instagram every single day. And I've seen it all. The industry has changed a shit ton over the last 5 years. And after helping multiple guys hit their first 5, 10, even 20K months in commissions, we are in a new era. Here's how you actually do high ticket sales in 2025. Shift from quantity to quality. The first major shift is that mass outreach is dead. 5 years ago, you could send 100 cold DMs to business owners and you'd probably land a solid role. Pray and pray like you did in Call of Duty and you'd land a role. Now, in 2025, that approach is dead. Today, it's about quality over quantity when landing these roles. One strategic connection to the right offer is worth more than 500 cold DMs. The guys who are crushing it aren't sending mass outreach. They're strategically networking their way to companies that don't even make job posts. They research a shit ton before they even reach out. Before they message the person, they already know everything about their life. They make their outreach messages so personalized, so custom that it couldn't possibly be copied and pasted. They come prepared with insights, not these, would you be opposed to hiring a certified closer? Fuck me, is that annoying. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know how many times I get that same exact message sent to me. Like seriously, the opposed line has been used and abused more than Lily fucking Phillips. One of my students, River, is a perfect example. He didn't mass DM a bunch of influencers to land a role. He came to me, I connected him with one person, and now he's consistently closing, and he just did 10K last month in commissions. Before, he was bubbling around 4 to 5. He simply knew the right people who could make the right connections. That was it. He didn't need to grind for months sending hundreds of different applications. He was strategic. He went for quality over quantity. Now, if you want to do this yourself, the playbook is pretty simple. It's just that most people don't do it. Most people don't take the time, energy, and effort to actually land quality roles. And that's why they have most roles that suck. So here's how to do it. Identify 10 to 15 companies within your desired niche that you would genuinely enjoy selling for. Maybe you're into crypto, maybe you're into health, wellness, whatever it is. Find 10 to 15 companies in that niche that you are actually interested in. Research these companies extensively. Their offer, their funnel, their landing page, the people who work there, the people who used to work there, the people who will fucking work there. Everyone who's associated with that company, you should know. Find the right person to connect with. This isn't always the CEO. It's not always the sales manager. Sometimes it's not even the sales rep. I've been referred to roles through coaches at the company that aren't even part of the sales team. Now, once you find that person, craft an outreach message that is so freaking customized, it couldn't possibly be sent to anyone else on the planet. If they are in Thailand, comment about that. If they have a girlfriend, comment about that. If they have a pet rooster, say something about that. Be a bit of a stalker. Look into their life. Find out what they like, what they do. Be genuinely curious about it and build a relationship. And please, please, never, ever, ever ask for something in your first message. There's a difference between being transparent and being needy. You can state your intentions without asking for something. And if you're gonna message the person, please add them as a friend or give them a follow. The amount of messages I get from those "Are you opposed" closers that are apparently certified, they say, "I love your content. I love your page." And then I click on their profile, they're not even fucking following me. How can you love my page if you don't follow me? Like, the bar is so low in 2025. You do not need to stand out that much. You just need to be a little bit better than the 99% of bottom feeders. Okay, as you can see, that one amps me up a bit, so I'll move on to the next one before I have a heart attack. The second one is the network economy. By the way, if you want to learn how to do that strategy in exact, in-depth detail, I don't want to make this a pitch fest, but that's exactly what I teach inside my mentorship Closers Cult. If you want to find out more about that, just click the link in the description. Once you're on a roll, authenticity beats tactics. Scripted tactics are dead. Authentic conversation are what's winning in 2025. 5 years ago, you could follow a rigid script. No matter what question you asked, it sounded new to the prospect because it was probably the first sales call they'd ever been on. People are on social media, they see sales tactics and they can see through you when you're using them. Everyone's been through the what would happen if question, the feel, felt, found method, the what do you need to think about it line. They've seen it all. They've seen Wolf of Wall Street, they've seen Boiler Room, they've seen what salespeople are like, and they know you're trying to manipulate them. The closers who are actually doing well nowadays, they use tactics. I'm not saying they just wing it, they go scriptless, they do none of that stuff, but they make it authentic and unique, matched with their personality. For example, when I use tactics, when I use strategies, people don't even know that I'm doing it. Or if they do, it's because I'm telling them I'm doing it. Like, how transparent is that? When have you been on a sales call where the salesperson has told you they're selling you? Like, one, who has the balls to even do that? And two, who's authentic enough to just put that out there and be as transparent as that? This guy, apparently. Anyway, tangent aside, just be you. Now, if you're a fucking loser, obviously don't be a loser. But what that probably tells you is that you need to level up as a person outside of sales. So use scripts, use tactics, use objection handle techniques, but match it with your own personality. The way you do that is when you ask questions, ask it with genuine curiosity, not just to tick another box or, okay, sweet, on to the next question. Call out BS without being confrontational, be comfortable in silence, like prospects think, and speak with your natural voice, not some fake tonality closer acting job. Do you like? Now, I'm not saying to not use these words. What I am saying is if you don't normally use those words, then don't use them. For example, I use very casual language, so that's how I speak on my sales calls. If I was more professional, I would speak like that. Whatever your personality is, match it with that, because that's when prospects feel like they're actually talking to a human. Your prospects aren't stupid. They know when you're putting on a fake tonality. They know when you're faking it. Right now, authenticity is what's your advantage if you're a closer. Okay, the next thing is that your questions do not fucking matter if you don't know what answer you're looking for. Once upon a time, it was enough to just have a bunch of killer questions. But again, because prospects see through that shit, a lot of the time they'll test you or they won't give you the answer you need. And if you're not getting the answer you need, don't bother asking the question. It does not matter how good your questions are if you accept shit answers. The best closers aren't actually focusing on how they're asking the question or what they're asking. They're focusing on, is this gonna lead to the answer that I need? And then they backtrack from there. I wanna grow my business. I want more freedom. I wanna make more money. These answers tell you jack. And yet, most closers hear this garbage and just move on. Next question on the script. I was reviewing one of my student sales calls and he was asking all of the right questions. But the problem was he was letting the prospect get away with these BS answers. He'd say things like, oh, it's not that bad, I guess, I suppose, all this wishy-washy shit language. And the closer would just move on to the next question. Once I taught him to push back without being a dick, but in a genuine, curious way, that's when everything changed. Instead of, so what are your goals, Mr. Prospect?
Yeah, I want to scale.
Okay, next question. He started going, what are your goals?
I want to scale.
For sure, when you say scale, what does that look like for you though? He pushed back. He got the answer he needed, then he moved on. Right now, the key isn't the initial question, it's the follow-up question. Now, you might worry about seeming pushy or hurting their feelings, but the reality is prospects are gonna respect you way more when you actually call them out on their bullshit. Like, think about it in your own life. If you have a friend who, whenever you give him BS excuses for why you're not where you wanna be, and he empathizes, he goes, yeah, it's okay, bro, you'll get there eventually. Do you respect him? Or do you respect the friend that goes, hey bro, shut up, like you just gotta do the work? It might be harsh in the moment, but you actually respect that guy more. One of my mentors taught me there's a difference between being kind and being nice. The nice guy won't tell you if you have shit in your teeth. The kind friend will tell you, hey bro, hate to be that guy, but you got something in your teeth. We would all prefer that guy. It's the same thing on your sales calls. Prospects are unknowingly testing you with these shitty answers. It's kind of like, is this guy just reading off a script or is he actually listening? So when you get past that surface level answer and you push back, that's when you raise your status and respect on the call. Okay, the next one is CC. Not closer's cult, but cool cucumber objection handling. Just like the color of my shirt, you need to be a cool cucumber when you get objections on your sales calls. The old way was having all these gotcha moments like, what do you need to think about? Or, you just told me you want to scale your business, and now you're saying you want to think about it? What's the truth? That shit doesn't work anymore. Again, people see through it. And if you get frustrated or you get annoyed, you've lost a sale before it's even started. If you actually want to handle objections the right way, you got to stay calm. You'll probably see in a lot of my clips, I'm smiling when I'm handling objections. because what that does is it changes my state, it calms me down, and then I can really diffuse and unpack the person's real concerns without having them feel like I'm attacking them. Most prospects will throw you objections like, I need to think about it, or I need to chat with my partner, but it's really just a smokescreen for an underlying concern. It could be they're not certain that your program can help them, maybe they're not certain that they can do the work, or maybe they just don't have the money, but they're just telling you these other reasons. Now, the best closers aren't trying to just crush these objections and beat the prospect into submission. They're creating enough space and safety for the prospect to be open and honest with them and tell them the real concern. When I first got objections, I used to panic. I used to be like, shit, what do I say? I'd get flustered, I'd get annoyed, I'd get pissed off. But once I learned to stay calm and just ask people, what's behind you saying that though? Or what do you mean by this? And just being very relaxed in both my body language and my tonality, that's when I could get to the truth. That's when I could really help the prospect overcome whatever was holding them back. Quick hack, by the way, if you find that you always get annoyed or angry when you're objection handling, literally just smile. I know it sounds weird. You probably think I'm the psycho, but when you do it, it'll feel awkward at first, it'll feel weird, but it'll actually change your state. There's science behind you smiling and it changing your mental state. So if you get annoyed, literally just smile and you'll watch your state change. Because when prospects give you objections, they're almost expecting you to get annoyed, which is kind of why they want to get off the call like ASAP Rocky and give you the whole, it's not you, it's me. What you've done was great, Orlando. I just need to go think about it. When you smile, they're going to be like, what the fuck? Why is he so calm? Okay, what I'm saying must be normal. And then when they're honest with you and just tell you the real concern, you can handle that instead of handling these smoke screens, and then you get even more frustrated because you don't even get the sale in the first place. So what does this look like in practice? Expect objections and welcome them. Don't dread them. Respond with genuine curiosity instead of rehearsed rebuttals. Use silence strategically and let the prospects fill the void. And create a safe space for prospects to be open and honest with you. So there you go. There's 4 ways that you can actually win at high ticket sales in 2025. Quality over quantity, authenticity over tactics, know what answers you want, and be cool as a cucumber. The old way of high ticket sales is dead. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it in 2025. It just means you have to do differently. It's just like fitness coaches. There's more online fitness coaches than ever before. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't be a fitness coach. It just means you have to stand out and you have to be different from every other fitness coach. Again, if you want to learn how to actually do it, it's exactly what I help my students with. You can click the link below. But again, don't want to make this a pitch fest. I'll see you in the next video.